Oh, good heavens.
Oh, no, I don't know. Oh, I know that. Liberty.
Oh, yeah, Liberty, yeah.
Liberty.
They have a NASCAR.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's the biggest NASCAR track?
Race out in Alabama.
No, that already happened. So it said no money for basketball.
It is aggravating to take the coat everything that way. I have some pictures for that.
No more.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to June 4th board meeting, kind of new, calling this thing to order. I'd like to welcome everybody. Mayor Pro Tem Keenan Fox will give us our invocation.
Holy Heavenly Father, Creator and Sustainer of the universe, you have given us the greatest nation, greatest state, and greatest talent to care for as stewards of your people, your resources, and your land. Forgive us our shortcomings. You have assembled this board here today to fulfill a precise plan, your sovereign and eternal plan. We call on you today for your wisdom in the matters to be discussed and determined. We look forward for your unity. We draw on your strength and ask for your grace and mercy to accomplish all things in a manner that is pleasing to you. We pray in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the May minutes?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes from May.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye. Additions or changes to this evening's agenda, was there something that we need to add on? And, while we're here, let's discuss, as Gail pointed out, set a cutoff time for that. A week out, to help Jessica and help us. So what we're recommending for everybody is 1 week before the board meeting, so the Tuesday before, if it's not in by then, it's after we popped up at the citizen comments from council. All right, with everybody.
We can vote on that, Mr.
That'd be good.
I'll make a motion, we accept the,
Have a motion, do I have a second? All those in favor? All right, no additions to this, okay. Adoption of this agenda,
I'll make a motion, we adopt the agenda as stated.
have a motion, do I have a second? All those in favor? All right, on the mayor's report, first thing I want to talk about is I was able to work out with the VFW, Eric, cannot pronounce his last name, he's the fellow who owns the roller coaster. He's one of the VFW commanders, and Eric Holder, I think his name is Kevin Holder. Yeah.
Kevin Holder.
Yeah, Kevin Holder. And then who's the other one, that we deal with from VFW?
Dude, lives up here in the cemetery.
Mr. Dean.
Yeah, Dean.
Those gentlemen, I worked with them this week, and I, of course, got the town, we're gonna leave the American flags out until after the 4th of July. I don't see the purpose in taking them down. One of the things VFW was concerned about was their flags are older, so I committed myself, if I see one, which we already replaced 2 this week, when it comes down, I grab it, go buy a new one, and throw it up.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say, I've gotten 2 phone calls from citizens saying how much they appreciate
Yeah.
flags.
Good. I actually saw some poles on the one, so flag anyhow, that's what's going on. If you see them staying up, don't call the town hall. We're not taking them down until after July. If I get my way, they won't come down until, what's the next one? Veterans Day. Just makes no sense to me. So, and I'm telling you that about Eric, because he was very helpful with that, to go and use his roller coaster. Because we appreciate him working with us on that. Half those flags out there are VFW flags. Okay, that's it for this evening. Mr. Tolson? Mike Tolson, contract awards?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mike Tolson with McDay Associates. Was here before you last time talking about how we're going to help you guys distribute the appropriation money, the $3.2 million for water and sewer infrastructure needs.
Bill, is this the outfit we talked about the other day at lunch?
Yes,
From Downings?
yes. This is the engineer you guys contracted
Yes,
with.
I just wanna make
Give
sure I
us
was-
the engineered plan so that we could get the grant money.
Gotcha.
So we went, if you recall, we went through an RFP that you approved at 2 meetings ago, and then we finally got through that whole process.
Gotcha.
So this is the culmination of the RFPs.
Gotcha. Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Absolutely. So one of the first projects we had proposed on that was sewer rehab for the town's collection system to fight I&I in the system. We broke that down into 2 contracts and got some plans approved by the state to be able to use the appropriation money, and they approved our use of it. So we then went into not contracts, but plans and specs, and bid them out. Came here, had a bid opening, had 1 bid opening 1 week, and had to re-advertise because we didn't have enough for the second contract. Came back 2 weeks later, opened those 2, and what you've got, I don't know if you had it before you, but I've written 2 recommendation letters. One was for contract 1, which is the gravity mains, where they will come in and do a cleaning and video inspection of everything in the town's collection system, all of the sewer pipes, pop every manhole and do all of those things, because we've ever popped every manhole, but they've got to get to the pipes. They'll video everything, clean them, and what we'll have is a focused inspection of the actual pipes where the leaks and things that need to be fixed are. And then that project will line up to 7,000 feet of 8-inch, 7,000 feet of 12-inch, which you have a lot of 12-inch in your system, and 1,500 feet of 15-inch with what they call cured in place piping, which is a fiberglass sock that they inflate inside of it and cure it in place, and it basically lines the inside, seals out leaks, and goes from there. That's contract 1. We had 3 bidders. Tri-State Utilities was the low bidder, which that's their main form of work. That's all they do is lining work and everything like that. And that project came in at $1,005,000, right on $1,005,000, which is going to be part of the appropriation money, so it's not costing the town anything other than the fact that you're gonna have people here lining and blocking traffic a little bit here and there, but they'll do a good job and get it taken care of. But for that one came in $1,005,000, and my award recommendation letter is for you, recommending that you award to Tri-State for that amount, and then to maybe approve a small contingency just in case we run into something, 10% to allow for additional funds if needed out of the appropriation funds. That doesn't have to be awarded to Tri-State, it's just something that you can be ready for to request out of the appropriation so that it's covered and you guys are prepared for any kind of, unforeseen circumstances that come up in the line. Every once in a while you see a point repair that comes up that's not covered, that might go over budget here and there, but what we expect is that they're gonna clean 57,000 feet of sewer, which is your entire sewer system, so you got a lot of video to inspect, and there may be a lot of room for repairs and things that need to be done. But from what we can tell so far, we should have good news once we see that video, but that's how you tell where you have to fix, what you have to fix, so. That's that contract, so that's what I would recommend for that, and I've got, I've checked the license status for Tri-State and done the due diligence for all of that. And so what I would recommend for that is that the town award that contract, or I guess the best way to word it is, I need the town to authorize the mayor to execute contracts that I prepare with Tri-State for them to come in and begin a construction contract to do that work. And that's
Who's overseeing Tri-State? Will you come along next to the?
Yes, sir. We'll have a construction administrator, come into town and will be here, they'll be here periodically, but they'll be here every day. They won't be here watching everything, but when they do the video inspection, there's really not much to observe other than making sure that there's a construction claim, a claim where something happens and they, blown a clean-off lid or a clean-out lid or something like that. There's not much in that 2 or 3 weeks that'll be needed, but we'll still be here to observe. But then when they begin curing, I'll be videoing and watching everything that they do. So,
Have you worked with this Tri-States before?
many, I've probably done over 1 million feet of sewer just with Tri-State, in the eastern part of North Carolina, but they do this stuff everywhere, and it's the best way to restore and rehab your mains without having to dig the road up and pay for asphalt, stone, and everything, and new pipe to go in the ground. And again, the video portion is sort of the first phase, and we'll know how bad the second phase will be after I view all that video, and then I will personally review every bit of it and direct them into how much of the 7,000 of this and 7,000 of that will do, and, make recommendations, and you guys will direct us to, what we tell them to do. But that'll be part of the administration side of the project.
I get a motion to, move forward.
I got one. Will the system be down during any of this cleaning or anything?
No, sir, not typically. When there are heavy lines, when there are lines with heavy flow on them, they'll plug them and do bypass. Normally, they can cure most of them with stopping it up, putting a bypass port, pump in on the upstream manhole and just piping around. I have done an entire town with this crowd before and only had to, maybe, hey, we need to turn this pump station off and let this flow go down so we can cure this. But each line will be down about 2 to 3 hours at a time by the time they clean it, just because they've got to allow cure time on that thing, because they cure it with steam. So it's got to generate all that heat and do all that.
And needless to say, they'll have their own road crew that will direct traffic.
Traffic control, yes, sir, that's all built into that price, and we'll make sure if they're not being safe, or if you guys have any complaints, you give them to me, I make sure they take care of them. I mean, that's just how one of these projects works.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract proposal.
The Tri-Cities.
Tri-State Utilities.
Tri-State.
They're based out of Virginia, but they do work all over the eastern seaboard.
Can I ask that you amend that, so allow the mayor to sign the contract?
Okay, I would like to amend that motion to have the mayor sign a contract to Tri-State for the contract.
And so I'll get the agreement and everything to Bill, he'll get them to you, and back and forth, and they'll prepare their bonds, and we'll be ready to go. We'll have a pre-construction meeting here with the funding agency, that's handling the appropriation for the town, with myself, with the contractor, and anybody else from the town who wants to attend. Gary, I'm sure, of course, will want to be here. And then it'll be the first day of construction, or the first day of video inspection, really, and then it'll move smoothly from there.
And it shouldn't take that long, right? We're not talking 6 months.
It's a 7-month contract.
Oh, wow.
But what that allows for is, it'll probably take them a month to do all the video. They'll do 5,000 feet a week in video, and then they come back when you line, depending on what they find, it may not take all, but, that's 15,000 feet, so they do about 1,000 to 1,500 feet a week in lining, so.
It doesn't sound like you're gonna have 7 months of people standing on the road.
No, sir, and they'll be all over, they'll be in the back neighborhoods, they won't be on the main highways and a lot of stuff. And then there's, a lot of your system is not remote, but it's, off the road, in backyards and things like that. So there'll be some of just walking back and forth and parking out on the road to do it, but we'll take care of all that, make sure that's done correctly and safely.
I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
So second thing we have is contract number 2. We were able to open the bids we had we had to re-advertise it in a paper of larger circulation, so we advertised it. We opened bids last Thursday, wasn't it? Has it been that short of a time? And so we wrote a recommendation letter for that. We got 2 bids on that. Tri-State was one, and Step Construction was another. Step Construction turned out to be low on that portion of the project. Their low bid was $575,175, that's the manhole rehab portion of the project. So after you line the mains, you can come back and then line the manholes we're putting what's called a polyurea spray. It's a spray liner that is corrosion resistant, and it's structurally sound, and basically offers a 10-year warranty on a lining that's, it's been the best product I've seen for it in my career. But what it winds up doing is instead of using cementitious or spraying concrete on the inside of it and lining that with epoxy, you've got a product that will be cured in about 30 seconds. The manhole is not out of commission more than about 30 minutes by the time they get it clean and ready to go. And sometimes they line, or most of the time they line them while they're live because they don't get down into the invert with it. So you guys have a lot of manholes in town. This is going to line approximately 980 vertical feet, which is probably around 80% of your manholes of it. And when I say vertical feet, for a 10-foot manhole, it's 10 vertical feet. So we're allowing for 980 vertical feet, leak stopping in each of those. So what they'll do is come through and hydraulically leak stop everything in it. They'll clean it, pressure wash it down, leak stop it, and then they'll apply the coating, and it'll be sealed like it was sprayed with a truck bed liner inside of it, if you will. That's just kind of what the consistency of the stuff feels like. Very good product, has been really good, and then they'll come through, and there were several manholes that were inaccessible during our condition assessment that we did with the AIA. We put them on the list. There's about 20 of them to dig up, put new rings on, raise up, get to where they're accessible. Some of those we won't do that to because they'll just get covered back up with snow plow, the debris from that, but we'll pick and choose, but that's in their contract to do. They'll raise and reset manhole ring and covers and put grade rings on as they need to fix things. Found some cracked manhole rings, found some just some things that need some general maintenance that Gary's crew won't have to do, and that this appropriation money can do, and get your system sealed up as tight as possible to keep inflow and infiltration.
What was, Tri-State's number?
They were $648,500 for the same work as the 575.
$75,000 more.
And this, you know, part of this is some of the travel. Step Construction is based out of LaGrange, which nobody else from this area, we advertise it in the local paper. Here, we advertise it, we put it down in the plan rooms and everything, and these were the only two bids that we got from it. Now, the polyurea is a specialized product that it's not proprietary, but there's not as many installers of it around. The sub that will be putting that in is out of York, South Carolina. So, I mean, they do a lot of work in Boone, they're in the area. So that's why they're in the area and able to do it. But that may be one of the reasons we didn't get a ton of bids on that specific contract. That's why we had to re-advertise and go back out.
Niche work. So have you worked with these guys before?
I have. I've worked with Step, and I've certainly worked with their sub, because I was just looking at it the other day, and I've done over 1,000 manholes with them in the towns in the past 3 years. I mean,
So that difference in price doesn't concern you much?
It does not. It's honestly, what I think it is transit between, you know, one and the other. One's coming from Virginia. There's some traffic control that one had not considered in the bids, you know, kind of thing. So, but I do feel like it's covered and they'll take good care of it. I mean, I haven't had any trouble with their sub crew that's coming in and applying the work, and the manhole ring and covers and everything, the general will do that work, and we haven't had any issues with them. They're very good on the spot.
Gary?
Yes, sir.
Is that the crew I went and watched in Boone?
That's the sub, yes, sir. Spraying the orange. Yeah, that's it. And they do a bunch of work in Boone, so, and it's a pretty incredible system when you guys get to see it. The reason you do them in 2 contracts is because you line the mains first, and then you come back and line the manholes. And when they come back and spray this stuff on the manholes, you have a sealed system, because they seal right up to the liner, and they do all of that so that you've sealed as many holes and cracks and leaks that you get in a sewer system, best you can.
Yeah.
But got a similar request, need a request to allow the mayor to enter the contracts and execute contracts for the recommended award to Step Construction out of LaGrange. And there's a letter here and everything, a formal letter that'll get sent to the state for all that stuff. But same deal, we'll have a pre-con, same day, we'll start them all off at the same time and then go from there.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to allow the mayor to approve the contract awards to Step Construction.
All those in favor?
And just by way of update for the other things that we're working on with that project, so with the appropriation money, because that accounts for 1.7, 1.8 million of the 3.2, which is what our budget roughly was. I was pleased to see that they came in on budget. A little bit off kilter proportion from what I was expecting, but they're within budget when you combine them, and that's all that really matters in the end. And, you know, we'll get I forgot to mention, but you guys have already voted, a contingency on that one as well, just to prepare ourselves for that, but that'll be in part of the contract documents.
That'd be about 10%.
10% is what we typically can cut it down to 5 after we bid it, but I, you know, just wanna make sure we're covered, and since it's appropriation money, it will be okay, we can always reduce it afterwards. So by way of a update for the other things we're working on, you guys have some equipment that is trying to malfunction on you at the wastewater treatment plant, a couple of bearings on one of the aerators that we're going to try. We've gotten some quotes for getting fixed. I've checked with the people that handle the appropriation at the funding agency. They told us that was fine as long as we checked all the boxes on getting quotes and doing this and everything. Gary's done a great job of getting numbers together for that. We are working through the process of getting it approved to be done as emergency type work. Even though emergency makes you think they're gonna be here this week, it'll probably be a month before they actually get here, but we're working through that process, trying to get approvals. A couple of additional things, that we're trying to get a pump installed at the Tweetsy lift station because of that large elevator that's in there, trying to remove that situation and get at least a new pump set in it so that we've got standby on everything, but then possibly moving on to a larger project that will remove that elevator tower and kind of flood-proof everything over in that area to make it so that it's a little less daunting to get into that station and actually do any repair work or anything, because right now it's pretty inaccessible. And then the next item is probably on water. We're working on some isolation valves on the water system to insert isolation valves. I've got to do a set of drawings on that and get that approved by the state, because that's bid work. That'll be more than $100,000 in scope, and it'll be, you know, around town. So I've got to actually draw a set of plans, get them sealed, and get that into the state for them to approve. I've spoken with the gentleman in Nashville that's kind of handling the appropriation money and said that's not a problem. He'll get to it and get approval done on that, but I've got to go through that process on that. So now that we've got these bid and we know that we're not going to be $3 million on that side of the board, I know what we've got to work with, and now we can get these other two projects crafted and going from there. So that was the reasoning for the lag in those things. But that's really anything else I need to? So that's what I was asking about. I've got the rate study prepared. I can come and speak at the next meeting. I just didn't know when you guys scheduled another budget meeting and I can talk about it. Bottom line is like I heard Bill say, your rates are incredibly low for the area and just in general for the services that you're offering. Now, I'm not saying you have to raise them, because that's a decision you guys make, but in order to, we're gonna put your sewer system back at a very, very good condition by the time it's all said and done when we finish this lining project. But it will take maintenance, it'll take operation, it'll take constant inspection and things like that to keep it in very good condition, and that will also include additional cleaning in the years to come and things that may or may not necessarily have been budgeted for. You can always ask for those funds from the state, but you can either take them as loan or get them as grant and those sorts of things. But eventually they're gonna look at you and say, well, we cleaned it 2 years ago, why don't you guys clean it? So just some things to consider, but rates raising to be able to generate the revenue to store that up for capital is probably the way they're gonna wanna see you do, because with your rates as low as they are right now, they're just gonna say, well, you've got 500 connections, just raise your rates and you'll raise $20,000 by $1 a month or something like that. And so you have to have exhausted that option before they're gonna be really willing to look at you and say, you've done all you can, you can't raise rates anymore for the median household income of the area, so we need to maybe look at a long-term loan or a grant or something like that. All things to consider in just the grant award and as you're awarding your budgets and making decisions about running the utility systems and things like that.
Can you email that to Bill before the 17th?
Absolutely, and that's what I was gonna say. I can come back on the 17th and speak about it if you guys would like for us to, and I can go through it, but I've got it. I've got the spreadsheet written in scenarios and just trying to show some illustrative scenarios. Bottom line is you know, the answer is almost always yes, you need to raise rates a little bit just to outstrip inflation and the cost of, materials and everything costing more, fuel's more, labor's more, everything like that, and materials aren't getting any cheaper, so you've got to replace and repair things that are only costing more on a daily basis, so it's a small percentage increase is more digestible than having to do 25% this year and then just 2% every year after that, and that's what the rate study will kind of tease out and show you, and that, and I can come and talk for probably longer than you want me to about that. So,
The
but that,
18th,
the 18th.
Bill will get you.
Yeah, I'll get with him on that, but I should be able, that shouldn't be a problem, January, right, before June 30th, right? Yeah, so, yeah, and so if there's anything else, any questions for me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take up this much of your time, but I appreciate you listening to me.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it. Sounds good. Thanks,
Mike,
Mike.
Mike, you, I appreciate it.
Victoria, Bode, anything on Jim?
How are y'all doing? So I won't take up a ton of time, but actually Robin Morgan, who's our executive director, had a conflict today, so she asked me to come and chat with you guys. I'm actually the chair of the board at the Avery County Chamber of Commerce, as well as the voluntold chair of the Willow Run Festival. So wearing a couple hats today. But we just wanted to get ahead of a couple conversations that have been going on around the Newland Christmas Tree Festival that is trying to be launched here. We had been approached as a chamber, and we actually had our board meeting this morning about supporting the festival from an advertising standpoint and, just kind of what we do for our patrons throughout the county. But unfortunately, the board decided it's a massive conflict of interest because, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but the dates overlap Woolly Worm. And Woolly Worm is a fundamental part of the chamber existing because it does fund about half, if not more, of the operational budget of the chamber, since the chamber is not funded by any other means besides this fundraiser and then membership. So what I wanted to address, because I think it's a phenomenal idea and it would be wonderful to be able to bring this in not only to the town of Newland, but the county to put all of these wonderful things on showcase. But I was just hoping that we could have a dialogue or a conversation about potentially moving the date. Mid-October seems a little early for the festival in general. I mean, that is planned to be peak leaf season right now. So I don't know how much traction, how Christmassy everybody is feeling in mid-October. So we have approached the planning board of the festival too, that if perhaps we could look at a different set of dates, that we could look at a partnership as well, because we'd absolutely love it to support it. Whatever's good for Newland is good for the county. So we want to be here, we want to be active, but unfortunately the overlap of the other festival plus the positive relationship we have with the Valley Crucis Fair, which is also on the same weekend, it just puts us in a lot of conflict of interest. So just wanted to get ahead of it before, money's being collected and all of that. So that's my
When in October is
So the date of the festival based on the sponsorship form is October 18th and 19th, which is a Friday-Saturday pattern. We, as Woolly Worm, are the 19th and 20th Saturday-Sunday pattern. So there is one full day of overlap. The Valley Crucis Festival, just as reference, is on that Saturday as well, the 19th. So.
But y'all don't have anything about the Crucis Festival, correct?
No, we don't. It's just more of a, a good relationship. We try not to step on each other. We want both to be supported. So it's a little bit of clouding an already cloudy pool, and we want to be able to support something here, not only for the growers and any of the sponsors that may want to partake in this, but also for the town, because I think it would be amazing. We just are maybe hoping there could be, especially because it hasn't happened yet, some negotiation on what we're looking at for the weekend of when it takes place. Maybe a little bit closer to Christmas, just to make it make a little more sense. Not even just to be off.
I think part of the problem, Ms. Bowman, Ms. Bowman, I think part of the problem is when the Christmas tree's going to DC.
Okay.
I think that's why those dates were chosen. I also think it was specifically designed because your chamber a couple of years ago said that there needs to be a third festival on the same weekend.
See, it's just interesting because I don't know where that conversation came from, because we actually brought that comment up this morning.
Who was the previous that just retired?
So Ann Winkleman, and she was the executive director for 3 probably 3 or 4 years, I think, so, yeah, it's interesting, because that comment came up this morning, and everybody around our table was kind of like, I'm not sure where that came from, that comment, because that, you know, we struggle obviously with traffic on where we are, we struggle with our infrastructure.
So you won't struggle over here, because we have, our infrastructure so much better. We have-
Yeah, and we totally support it. It's more just about the chamber. It's a conflict of interest on that weekend for the chamber to be a part of it. So we would love to be able to support it. We don't have the functionality and honestly the manpower to be able to support another festival on that same weekend. So our hope was just that maybe we could negotiate a different day and we'd be able to support it.
Well, let's do this. Let's maybe meet you and Jason and anybody else who wants to participate,
Okay.
have a meeting. Because it kind of feels like to me, nobody wants to mess with the woolly worm, because it's the festival. When, the state, and I've heard this from a state chamber person, that it would be advantageous to have a third place, because quite frankly, on that weekend, you can stay on this side of the county as much as you want. We still have a ton of traffic, because they can't get the banner. They're tired of sitting for 3 hours to
Yeah.
get to the woolly worm.
Yeah.
Or they get turned around from the Valley Cruises. And I think the other issue was trying to send the Christmas tree up to Washington DC, and it's gonna be here just that week. So
Okay.
if we wait till after, so,
Yeah, I think these are all great things to address. I just think before, when it got uplifted, there wasn't necessarily a lot of discovery between the two, and I think we're finding out maybe there are either missing facts or blurry facts that we'd love to approach. Because again, we want to be able to support anything that is growth for any of our townships within the county.
I'm gonna put this out here today.
Okay.
I have always felt like the Avery County Chamber does not support this side of the county at all. I've always felt like you have Banner Elk Chamber and you have the Avery County Chamber, and Banner Elk, and have a good day. We don't get a lot of support over here, don't get advertising, there's no support for our festivals. Back when Ms. Winkleman was there, she really tried to kick that up, and for some reason, your board, which apparently everybody on your board lives in Banner Elk, or lives in that area. So. it's
Again,
not-
the facts, but we did try to run our summer festival up here, our Summer Fest, and it fell short. It fell short of attendance, it fell short of vendor participation, it fell short of sponsorship, so
Does anybody in here remember that?
the Summer Fest, yeah, I tried it for 2 years. And we actually netted a negative profit that last year, so we took a hit on that one. So again, we would love to do it, and that's actually a huge part of what our, the word would be, I like to say, reinvention of some of the relationships that we have in Woolly Worm. With myself taking over this year, we've reached out to really mend a lot of those relationships, not only with the public schools, working a lot better with Lisa McCray. We have a plan actually for remote parking this year, fingers crossed it gets used, so that we can address some of these fundamental issues and infrastructure issues, so that more of the county does want to come and be a part of it. We're gonna do some Avery County local discounting, not only on tickets, but on parking as well, with this relationship with Lisa McCray. So the festival is trying to expand its reach for sure. And again, that's why it would be wonderful for us to be able to put some power behind it, not only from a manpower piece from the board and from the staff, but from the sponsorships, because I think we could help get it funded as well if we were able to concentrate in a different part of time. It's overwhelming. It's hard to get the one uplifted, and definitely just don't have time to get the second, to be able to help.
Jessica, do you have Ms. Bowman's contact information? If you two would get together maybe tomorrow and get it to me, and I'd like to get together and have a quick meeting with you, because we'd love to get the chamber over here.
Yeah, and we'd love to uplift
If the person failed, maybe
anything,
you just have the
so,
wrong people involved.
yeah, very possible.
Okay?
Perfect,
Thank
thanks
you,
guys.
ma'am.
Appreciate it.
Sweetwater. Sweetwater.
Yeah, while he's coming up, let me just remind you, we talked about this several months ago, last calendar year. The project couldn't be adopted because it was too large. So we've got limitations on how much satellite annexation we can have by statute. And so the project was way too large. We didn't have any of that room left. So this project is bringing before you is the same, except he's reduced it significantly to a portion within his property. So, otherwise, we're going through the exact same process. So this is the night they introduce it. If you want to go forward with it, then we'll schedule it. We'll direct the clerk to do research on it, and then we'll schedule a public hearing. You know, just go through the 3 steps that we have to go through.
So start that tonight.
Yeah, if you choose to. So if you have questions, he's here. And if you want to see the map, we've got it right here. You want to see the drawing?
No, I mean, I saw it last time. I'm all for just putting it on, let's move forward with it.
Is the map the same as it was before?
It's just a smaller, it's,
Oh, contract.
yeah.
What you have is a 5-acre big parcel. No, this is fine. The other parcel was, how many acres? How big's your parcel?
54 acres totally.
And we have room for like 24, 26 acres that we can add. So this is a 5-acre parcel cut out around the area that they actually have and where he wants to put the amendment. Now, this is all going back to wanting to serve beer and wine. And you can only do that here in an incorporated area, so he's trying to get into the town to be incorporated so he can serve beer and wine to draw more people to his venue.
Yeah, and the size was the issue previously. right?
Size was issued before, from my perspective, so we really couldn't go forward, and I don't know what the board thought about it.
So let's just start processing. You need a motion to do that?
Yes.
I need a motion to start the process to move forward on.
I make a motion you start the process of the annexation of Sweetwater Ranch.
No.
As proposed, the 5 acres as proposed, and we're gonna direct the clerk to do the analysis necessary.
Okay, so I'm in the motion to allow the clerk to do the research and the process for Sweetwater.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
So the second step, just so everybody knows, the second step will come back next month with the report from the clerk, and you can decide to propose a public hearing at that point. That public hearing will be the adoption, and that will be the public input part.
And that will, the public hearing will come after next month's meeting.
After next month.
Okay,
We're on a 3-month cycle, it's just the way the state sets it up.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard.
All right,
See
thank
next
you.
month.
Thank you.
Just a copy of town and keep,
Yes.
town ordinances, Bill?
Okay. Did you get one of those? Going back to the grants, the federal government has required us, and apparently they've required this all along, but the state just hasn't kept up with it. They've got a new agency within the state that makes us go back and do some of this paperwork. So what you're gonna see are 2 documents which are policies we have to have in place to handle these 2 grants. So one of them's I can't remember what they are. I've had them for a while, but Gerald has looked at them, and of course, he, like me, it's like, if this is what the federal government's making us do, this is what we're gonna have to do. So all I did was go in and change put our information in where they had blank. So that is those first 2. So really, all I need you guys to do is approve a policy, 2 policies
Can I get a motion to approve these two
that are
policies?
related to the ARPA funds.
To the ARPA funds.
I make a motion to approve the ARPA funds.
Policies.
I have a motion, do I have a second? Second, all those in favor say aye.
So those will be sent back to the state so that they know we've adopted those policies.
Town charter?
Yes, next. It's probably more Gerald than me, but
Go ahead, Gerald.
the next step in changing,
And there's, it's before you all, we have a public hearing, and, it's before the board if you want to change the form of government from, the, mayor, council form of government to the, council, manager form of government. And you have, if you want to go that way, you can do it one of two ways. One is you can adopt the ordinance tonight and go forward, or you can place it, or you can put it for a referendum and then do it depending on the result of the referendum.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, you've done 3 ordinances over the life of the town. Because you went from 3 aldermen to 5 aldermen to 5 aldermen and mayor to, and then we changed something else. I've not been able to locate these, but when I look at the current charter, it's like, well, there's clearly been 3 changes to it in the past. This same method.
I think they changed the mayor from 2 to 4 years.
Yes, yes, that's it.
What's the verbiage, Joe?
That, assuming that we don't want to do the referendums, nobody came to the public hearing and talked about it, so to my mind, you know, I don't see the point in it, is just a motion to adopt the ordinance, adopting the mayor, or excuse me, the council manager form of government.
Change the charter to adopt.
I'll make a motion to change the charter to adopt to a council manager.
Form of government.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. All right, move on. Policy, cost principles policy?
That's, you got those. Those are all the 2, yes, that's that big one. These are, keep in mind, they're federal documents, you're welcome to read them, I can email them to you if you'd like, but if you're having trouble sleeping, they're great documents. I had to read them several times to figure out what they say, and Gerald's response was the best one of all, it's like, well, sort of making a decision. So, I was instructed in email to change, put our county in it and put Board of Aldermen, instead of council, and, you know, just some superficial changes, but no changes substantive to the language. We weren't given that opportunity.
So what do we need to do? What do we want?
Saying you're gonna adopt this policy, this ARPA policy, so it's 2 total. You did one, now you're doing so.
I'll make a motion to adopt the policy.
Cost policy.
Cost policy.
Yeah.
I have a motion, I have a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Policy conflict of interest grants.
But that was the first one we adopted. You're good.
Christian Gardner?
Got some stories here.
You might do.
Don't get it all.
Yeah.
That's all that on camera.
Okay, well,
I'm like t-shirts, I'm on camera.
So kind of give everybody preface for what Christian's got. He's, Jamie Johnson, from the day I started here, had always wanted to do a fishing tournament. We were unable to get off of the ground. Not that we didn't try, there's a lot of moving parts to it. One of the conversation I had with Christian, his newspaper capacity as a reporter, I brought that up. That's one of the things I really wish we could get going, get over the season. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we're gonna be soliciting folks today and moving forward for some donations and things. So basically, Kristen was able to get this put together and at no cost really to the town other than
Yeah,
our time.
we discussed this several meetings ago.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest thing was getting fish, getting prizes, all that stuff. Through some of the contacts I have with our hunting show out by Collar Hunters, we're gonna get 2,100 fish stocked for that day. I mean, if you
And you'll give,
Yeah.
you'll give out maps where that'll be.
Yes, I thought I had a map on here, I didn't print that out. I do have a map for a, kind of a order, the way it's set up is it kind of stretches from the ballpark area, where the Little League fields are, back here in Shoemaker Park. That was one thing I was gonna discuss with the board, see what y'all think might be the best idea about the ballpark area, because you know, there's no longer the tunnel there to walk to that end of the stretch. I don't know if there's a way to make like a walk area there just for the day of, or what the board thinks about just cutting it off altogether, because it can be a safety hazard, having adults or kids for that matter trying to cross the river. But that was just one thing to think about, something I'd like some input on, see what y'all think. And of course, like we talked about the fun, I've got a ton of prizes already. One of the pages there lists some of the prizes we have that we look to do. We had a local outfitter, was gracious enough to go ahead and donate a half-day guided fly fishing trip for the winter. Whoever catches the biggest fish, along with a ton of different tickets for different businesses like Tweety, Grandfather, there's a ton listed there. So we've got prizes like that, and I have on wood engraving deals, so I can engrave some trophies, so it won't be any cost. Only thing we're really looking for is to get a little bit of funding for like some fishing poles, the bait. One thing I had listed there, in years past, I've helped the High Country Sportsman's Coalition do the Kids Fishing Day in Panola. One thing they've always done, it's a huge help, is they always have bait available for kids to show up. It's a little tough, and they get worms and corn, there's plenty of it. That'd be one thing I feel like would be a great benefit, something that really don't cost a ton. I mean, of course, it would cost there. But other thing, like I mentioned, was the fishing poles, maybe for second or third place, give like a fishing kit to them, new pole, like a tackle box with some spinners, some hooks, stuff they would need to be able to go out and fish on their own. But other than that, all the information's kind of there. Just wanna see what y'all thought about it, see, since it is Newlands Fishing Day, we're here for y'all, here for the kids, so.
And you're gonna do this on the 6th, right?
Yeah, same day as Newlands, celebration.
Gary, what you got?
Would it not be better to run this from the campground around by the church and down that way? That way you're not crossing Main Street?
Only limitation there is from right there where Kay's Kitchen is, out that way, by the campground is wild trout.
They can't put stock fishing, although they're gonna swim up there, I know.
Yeah, all means, there's gonna be fish there, but it would be near impossible to regulate, making sure, you can fish it, it has to be like a single hook, artificial, basically it's fly fishing only. It'd be really hard to regulate, and
I was just thinking of access.
Stocking, or I talked, the Pickle Stocking and Wildlife Commission, we can have a warden that'll be kind of by, when stocking's done, make sure nobody's fishing once it's stocked till the time of the event.
What time you gonna stop?
Let me look back and say, I think it was at 12, I think we had, from 8:15 to 12.
Is that what time the festival gets going back 12, right?
When's the first band start? When's the first band?
I think Adam's supposed to start about 12. And the reason I had it set for 8 is that time of year obviously gets warm quick, and the way it's set up, every fish that's caught, the kids are supposed to keep anyways. We'll have like a donation box set up, or a big cooler or chest, where people that want to keep the fish and still donate them, and we'll, whatever the town wants to do, we can
Or they can turn them loose,
organization or
or
something,
they can put them back.
put them to use.
You can't turn them back in the river?
The way it was described to me, it's best not to, especially putting that amount of fish in there.
Yeah.
It's best to let them catch what they can.
Yeah, they're not gonna catch 21 of them.
No, they're not catching by any
They're
means.
too impatient.
So,
Now, me and Bill and Gerald might go down there and catch some out the night before.
So
Yeah,
So your real question was when he was gonna stop, that was your
Yeah.
real question?
Uh,
stop.
About how much do you need?
Honestly,
As much as
for one
possible.
more we get, we could get somewhere around $500 or so. I think I could stretch that enough to make do. And then what else we would need, I'll look at put forth from our hunting show to
Fishing
make
rig.
up the end.
The fisher.
What about the cost of advertising, like
I can do all the advertising in-house. We have our own
He knows somebody.
social media stuff, we got our page, plus technically, maybe we can put that up. Of course, there's where I do make the ads and flyer and stuff, I'd love to share it with the town, so if y'all can share it on y'all's Facebook page as well, push it that way.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am 100% for this. So I'm gonna make a motion that we give you $500.
I was just gonna say, if y'all didn't wanna give it to them, that my wife and I would be.
Well, not only that,
More than happy
not
to.
just that, but like my business is gonna give them a couple, $300. I'm gonna ask, there's other businesses in here that I'm gonna ask. And I've got some veteran buddies of mine that are gonna, so
Well,
we
we
can.
can-
I'll pledge some too.
I was about to say, that being said, whatever we get, it's all going back into it, I think give us.
Yeah, he's just gonna go
same
buy
notion.
more
We're not trying to
fishing
make
poles
money
if
off
he
of
needs.
this, it's just for the kids, the more we get, the more we can put into it.
And we'd like it to grow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And maybe next year, give away a lifetime fishing license.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd like.
If we have enough come forth for this year, I'm sure, we have sponsors where we do our kids' turkey hunt stuff. I haven't got to talk to them much about it yet, but I'm sure if they're involved, we may get a lobster or two to give away.
Yeah,
She's a lifetime.
like $700.
Yeah, I thought
It's
so.
in the hundreds for a kid. Yeah,
Okay.
depending on their age, kids, it's
Too
too
big for a
varies,
kid.
it's still several hundred dollars.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I think this is a great thing,
yeah.
and,
Do that this year.
huh? Yeah, well, we don't know if we can get the money, but he's asking for us to get $500.
What's that gonna exactly cover? I mean,
With $500, it's gonna cover the extra prizes. So, one of the things we had, I put in there was doing like half hour, or every half hour door prize. But I have a PA system and stuff, which I'll bring, like every half hour, when kids come to register that morning, we'll have the name wrote down, we'll have names at the top. Every half hour, we'll pull a name, they'll come get a prize.
will that cover fishing poles and everything?
Yeah, that should. I've got enough time left week, I can get some deals on that to where they'll cover that.
Would it help if one of us contacted like Ingles, got you some cases of corn donated?
If you could do that, by all means, that would be great.
Okay, I'll be glad to call John Girls.
That would be
What
fantastic.
about, Elk Park,
Hayes?
No.
The big store,
Yes,
Chad Mitchell,
yes, Chad.
yeah, I've got a good relationship with him, so I'm sure he may donate something.
If not-
When it comes to that, we've been super gracious enough to have almost every business in Haver County has helped at some point in time.
Have you stopped by Three Nails?
Do what now?
Have you stopped by Three Nails? I know they sell
No,
fish.
not yet. We pretty much kept this under wraps till we,
Yeah.
got all the details worked out.
Well, I know if you're 16, you gotta have a fishing license. That's what worries me, no, that's the only thing I see. So,
Business what?
you gotta have a fishing license
No, I
if you're
think
16.
with the way it's being stocked, it's done like the Banner Elk Fishing Tournament,
Yeah, and the thing with North Carolina, at 16 under, you don't have to have a fish.
Oh, you don't? I thought it was 16.
No, it's, the way it's set up, you don't, as long as you're with your parent.
It's
it
a free
really
fishing day.
Don't matter.
Yeah.
And I figured 16 and under would kind of be the
Yeah.
limit anyway.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
like I said, the biggest issue we thought was keep people from fishing for time of year.
Well, we've got an excellent police chief and 2 dogs that can camp out there the night before. So.
I don't know who's it.
But
I get a motion to donate $500.
I didn't make it, but, yeah, there's a motion out.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And anyone else, listen, anyone else that wants to participate, make any donations, we'll get you, we'll have the information here at the town, or, we'll put it on the website, because the next week or so, we'll start pushing this a lot, so. My goal, I mean, I want a definite winner for the biggest fish and all that, but my goal is any kid that comes out there, give them a score.
Yeah, that's like the more funding we get from different things, that's more prizes we can.
Now, I don't want to see nobody, I don't want to see some kid going out here with one of these side-by-side for $10,000.
Well, thank you.
And Chris, if you need any help, holler at me,
Thank you.
and I'm gonna call Ingles and we're gonna check some of
That'd be great, thanks so much.
Riverwalk, just the emails that I was getting. I've gotten some emails from some folks, several folks about the Riverwalk, and I think it does need to be addressed, and I'm just going to use the river walk. In that back area over there near the church, it's low, and when it rains, it gets filled with water, and I think a simple and muddy, I think a simple, get some out of there with a little piece of equipment and do some drainage and bring in some asphalt, raise that up to where it stays above the water. We need to address it.
Another place is under the bridge there at Hayes, I don't know if anything can be done,
Yeah.
but if it rains, it's water.
Gary?
I've talked to the guys back here behind us. I don't know, they're part of the water, part of the streams. They have some money. I showed him some pictures there at Case where the sediment has filled in and basically covered up our sewer line. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed. He was working on year-end stuff. He said, give him a couple weeks. I told him to come see Bill, but he's thinking that he can get us some help with some of the money they've already been allotted, not have to go through this massive project, and they've already got engineers and people, so you bypass all that approvals and stuff like that, so.
We've had a conversation with the Corps, we've had a conversation with State Fish and Wildlife. The river bottom, we can actually get, except where the trout area is, we can actually get in there and work on it. There's a lot of sediment, there's a lot of erosion, we can actually get in there and fix that without getting permits from the state or the federal government. The issue's gonna be, getting the work done and somehow paying for that work. We're probably looking at $150,000 to $200,000 just to get the sediment cleaned out. You'll notice there are islands, and you'll see the islands get bigger and bigger, and the river shifts, and so it starts eroding. I guess all of you were around when the Corps came in and did that big block wall right there behind the barbecue, right behind Carolina barbecue. So that's an actual Corps project, and then the pond is a Corps project, but from that wall out to the fire station is a Corps project that was part of that pond project. And so we already have the permit to clean all that out. The only thing we can't do is alter the bank. And they've given us a vegetation list. They could go in and clean out vegetation and what kind of vegetation to put back, because there's a lot of noxious weed out there. But the bridge under Linville Highway is gonna require permit. That's a big major work to undertake. But what's happening is it's coming down that way, and then there was stuff that went on, I don't remember where, but the headwaters coming back this way. And it all is collecting on our sewer line right there at Kay's Kitchen, and then it's all flowing over in storms, and then it's catching because of the way the river's starting to meander. It's catching in the culvert, and then it blasts through there, and it starts hitting islands, and it's, starting to erode on both sides, because the river's now doing this instead of flowing straight through, so.
Jimmy, you have something?
I was just gonna ask, which, I must be lost, is it the part of Riverwalk back up towards the park?
Where Mike's RV park?
Yeah.
So that's all floodplain right there, and the
Yeah.
Riverwalk kind of follows the contour, so it goes down.
Isn't
that-
that the part we traded with the homeless church?
We haven't done that yet, and it's actually, the park is actually outside. The Riverwalk comes this way, and then the RV park is right here, the campground, so this area is the part that's flooding, and it rolls over. I don't know if you know, right where the church is, they have a
Yeah.
concrete pad.
Yeah.
Where they occasionally bring in a guy that does,
Yeah.
construction or whatever. That pad is in the floodplain as well. So if you go out there and look at it, you'll see mud piled on it, but we've got water and sewer out there.
Yeah.
A lot of that is over years of every time the river gets out, the sand gets left there and then the grass grows through. That's why the walkway is below
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
But that's what's
there,
happening.
Yeah, I don't know how we got off in all this fascinating meandering water and islands. I'm just trying to get about
Well,
100 lineal feet of asphalt bar out
The
there, right?
fascinating meandering is the result of the accumulation of debris that's come downstream.
Don't care, Bill, I just want the asphalt raised.
But that's why we're having this issue.
Okay.
So you have to. We don't have to.
So what do we need to do to discuss raising the asphalt or lowering the sand?
Well, we're not gonna lower the sand, it's in the floodplain, so we're not gonna do that. Gary's just outlined, we have a possibility of getting a grant to clean out the riverbed. And we can do something with our facility
you need a vote for us to give you permission to go after the grant, Gary, or?
No, I was just letting you know, I've talked to the guys back here and they have,
Yeah.
I think he said they had $1 million available and they don't really have it earmarked for anything specific right now. So we can be kinda high on the list to hopefully get some stuff taken care of.
How do we move forward dealing with that?
Just direct us to do something with the actual river walk. to
Let's see what
practice
those
that.
guys have to say, and can we table to the next meeting?
Yeah,
That's fine.
And that'll give you time to do your research.
yeah, we're getting out of the rainy season, fortunately.
Okay, can we give him permission to get a price on replacing some asphalt out there? In the low-lying areas that Bill knows, Bill, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
And I don't care if Mitch is out there marking with some flags, but it needs to be,
Well, yeah, I mean, Gary can get the prices together, he knows what we're talking about.
we have to do a motion, just
No.
tell him to do it.
I understand, get some prices.
Okay.
Your turn, Gary.
Gary,
I heard you. I'm writing a note. Alright, so we had, 7 811 locates last month. We got 4 leaks fixed. Whammy and the one below the fire department was the last 2. We've got a quote from Carolina Lift Stations, which Mike alluded to, trying to get the grant money filled in to fix the aerator, the bad bearing down there. That was $41,000. That's not gonna be a simple project, cause there's overhead lines directly over where this, so they're gonna have to brace that piece of equipment up to get that bearing off and stuff. Wheels went through all the Christmas lights. Will's been helping me the last couple weeks. He's done an excellent job. He's a go-getter. We got most of all the bad ones removed. I contacted Mosca. They sent replacement bulbs, so we get some more. We've had good weather recently, but we'll get some more rainy days. We'll get him back up there and start putting bulbs back in. So then the Christmas lights should be ready for Christmas early. I guess everybody saw we got the e-sign working back, and I've got the plug that used to be on that pole was bad, so we've got a new plug run down, so I can take a drop cord out there and plug the e-sign up to recharge it without having to take it to Casa. We got the work order system working. I think I've had 18 work orders in the last 7 days. I've got several preventive maintenance put in that's reoccurring, and then I've got maybe half a dozen parts put in so far. So rainy days, I'll be working on putting parts in the system. Because each time I do something, I can add a part to that work order, and then we can start accumulating, see where our costs are. And I guess that's it.
Stormwater. Stormwater.
About
Stormwater.
We finished the map. I didn't tell them that last month?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought I did. Anyway, yeah, that's what I thought. But we're done mapping the stormwater. Tatiana brought us a map over, and I also have it in the app. So I've got sewer, water, and stormwater on the app. So out in the field, you can bring it up and look at it and see what's going on. So,
Gary, let me ask one quick question.
okay.
With the street lights, is there any way to get them where they come on the same time? I noticed one side comes on early and the other.
They're supposed to be replacing all the timers.
Okay,
So that's why I haven't messed with them.
Good.
So as they get all the timers replaced, they should all fall in line.
all right, thank you.
Uh-huh. Anybody else?
Sandy.
I just stand here. Of course, you know from the budget meeting that the fiscal year 21-22 audit is complete. The 22-23 audit, the auditor will be here Thursday, and I have a contract for you to sign, Derek, for her before you leave tonight, please.
Okay.
So tomorrow is like D-Day for Jessica and I, so if we can have no interruptions tomorrow to finish up last minute things for the auditor, that would be perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah, the payroll too, so. Our fiscal year 23-24 USDA loan, drafted on 6/1. That was, that's for the sanitary sewer bond from 2008. It happens every year. They, automatically draft on 6/1, so this would be for the 23-24, and we already have the notification for year 24-25, so I put a reminder in Outlook to say 2 weeks before, this is gonna be drafted, be prepared. The, you have your spreadsheet that I prepared, and I just have a question for the board. Do you want that in fiscal year format, or do you want it in a 12-month rolling format? So what that basically means in the 12-month rolling is you would have 12 months, including the one that just closed, or do you want just the fiscal year? I just need to know. Fiscal year's okay? All right. So that means starting in July, at the end of July for August, you'll only see July. You won't have anything for any, okay. Good. Well, you have copies of it anyway. The other thing I need to ask is on the human resources side of things, our new officer, David Buchanan. I have, I got leave balances from his previous employers, and in accordance to our policy manual, the board let me tell you how much he has. He has 48 hours from Sugar, and he has 1,683 hours from Mitchell County. At the current, the board rules, the policy says that you can approve up to 40 hours initially, and then after he's been here a year, which would be May 27th, 2025, you can approve any after that. So, just need to know, do you approve the 40 hours for now?
I'll make a motion, we give him the 40 hours, Officer David Buchanan.
Okay, so then,
Wait.
so, sorry. Go ahead.
Why did you just get paid out when you left those other departments?
Because, actually, sick time can be rolled into retirement, and that's what a lot of people do. They just hold on to it and roll it into the retirement so they can retire earlier. So it counts, there's a formula that you go through, and they can retire earlier because of that. So it's not like you're going to pay out this time unless, you just roll sick time. Vacation, you pay out, sick time, you roll.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll say.
All those in favor?
So do you want to vote on the additional 1,683 plus another 8 hours now, or do you want to do it next year?
Let's do it next year, let's see if he sticks.
Okay.
My opinion.
All right, so we'll go ahead and, in the payroll system, we'll go ahead and load the 40 hours for now. That's all I have. Any questions?
Police.
What, police? What's that?
Okay, so this month of May, all my guys were crazy busy. Had a lot going on. We made 6 arrests. Actually printed off, y'all have copies of everybody who took to jail this month, what they were charged with. We had 15 felony charges, 8 misdemeanor charges, 5 calls for trespassing on private property, 6 motor vehicle accidents. Chris and Cody have actually assisted on 2 cases that resulted in drug charges. Stockton and Rupert, they attended a drug interdiction class at Dallas this month. And I've got David Buchanan, the new officer, I've got his stuff submitted to the state. I'm just waiting to hear back from them, so we can get him sworn in. And I don't know if any of y'all know about this program. It's called the Law Enforcement Support Services Program. It's through the military. It's military surplus stuff. Like, they told me it's anything from toilet paper to helicopters. And all we gotta do is, check it every day and see what gets posted. And we fill out a requisition, and if we're first in line when it comes available, it's ours. Like, there's a little more to it than that. Some stuff is controlled to where they give it to us, we can use it as long as we need to, but if we decide we're done with it, we have to give it back to them.
Like night vision goggles.
Yes. And some stuff is controlled for only like a year, 1 or 2 years. And after that time, it belongs to the town. The town can do whatever they want to with it.
And sell it like.
Can sell it. If it's wore out junk, we just throw it away, whatever. So we're signed up for that now. and they're coming here on the 12th to do some training to show me what kind of paperwork that they expect us to keep up with on the controlled stuff. 'Cause it's pretty in-depth. They come by once a year, check everything we have, make sure we still have it.
We don't have a line item for our helicopters, don't even accept it, okay?
You never know.
Grenade launcher.
New one does not need a-
Anything from toilet paper to helicopters.
Okay.
So,
Grenade launcher it is.
do what-
At Christmas time, you dress up like Santa and jump off the roof out of the
Like, I've already filmed,
Anything else?
like, they have two side-by-sides that, it's at Camp Lejeune right now. And hopefully within a week, find out, we'll probably be able to get those.
Two of them?
Two of them, yeah.
I don't wanna see how outrageous those things are made.
No, like, they actually, it would've came in handy today, we had to borrow some from the Paul Buchanan to go find a guy in wood, so it's gonna be very useful. Do what? That's what
And keep in mind, this program's limited to first responders, so it's like,
Yeah.
there are things you can't get unless you declare somebody first responder. Like, I'm not gonna drive this thing around, I'm not a first responder. Gary, we could declare him first responder, cause he runs all the water and sewer systems, so he would have access to this stuff.
It's the program they shut down during the BLM riots, because the cops were showing up looking like stormtroopers.
Yeah, see, like, part of the policy is we have to, before we can get like any kind of armored vehicle or big,
Right.
big vehicle, we have to post to the public and let them know that Newland Police Department is gonna be requesting this and that, or just whatever, before
If
we
you don't
can.
come out of your house, we're gonna drive through it with this armored truck.
Exactly, yeah, we gotta let them know we're gonna get the equipment.
I support it.
Make any questions?
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am?
I know Jamie had sent an email back, a while back, and y'all went over and looked at that area behind Martha Guy's
Yes.
house.
Yes.
Do you- I'm sure you do, but do y'all patrol that pretty
Oh,
regularly?
yes, we've been burning that up.
Yeah, I watched, who's the one in the black Tahoe? He went down there, he went down there today.
Yeah,
Okay.
like 3 of those charges.
I've just seen people coming out from back there.
Yeah, so the people that own that, I've talked to them quite a bit,
Okay.
and they don't care for people walking back there, they're like fishing and stuff,
Okay.
but they just don't want people camping back there on their
Right,
property.
right.
And that's, we've actually, like I said, we've been burning that up back there. And I think
Okay,
it's
thank
been,
you.
actually been doing some good,
Yeah, that's easy, they can make a
Okay,
bunch
thank
of stuff.
you.
not
Somebody
somebody,
told me to put some coyote calls out back there, it might work.
you don't, never know what's back there, so.
I know, that's true.
Not a problem.
The field over behind Shoemaker, you going out there too?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, we're coming in from the
So
fire
that's where
department
they're
side
coming.
and going all the way across, yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I was surprised out there mowing last week, a whole pack of them just came out there.
yeah.
8 or 6 or 8 came out one Saturday morning. I was out there.
Yeah, I was there with Laughlin the other day, there were like 11 people that came on, it's like, Mom, where'd they come from?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Like, actually, one of the girls on the report I gave you guys, we charged her with trespassing, and 2 days later, we found her, or she showed back up on the property. So she's actually got more warrants for the same thing, being back on that property, so we're watching it, anybody that's not supposed to be there, they're getting charged, so.
Good job with it.
No problem.
And that conversation that we had about the no bond or.
That's
secret
took
bond,
care of.
Yeah, I had the same conversation
Yeah.
with the judge and the magistrate.
Yeah, I went up there and talked to him.
Shocked that they can't get sheriff calling back.
Yeah. Everything's good. Any questions?
Is your policy allow officers to ride around in civilian, is that part of y'all's policy?
What do you mean?
Are officers allowed to drive their marked patrol cars in civilians at any time?
Yeah, I mean, you talking about David?
I'm talking about any of it. That's why I panicked, I saw David, because I didn't know him driving,
Yeah.
doing the police car, I was like, who is this cat driving the police car?
Well, he's FTO right now, And so that's why he's got the truck. He's just driving it back and forth to work. And like if we're busy in the office and it's lunchtime, he's like, hey, can I go get something to eat? So I tell him.
So he's not in uniform yet because he's not certified by the state?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to hear back end of this week, first of next week, and we can actually swear him in and he'll be in full uniform, rock and roll.
Is he carrying a gun in that truck?
No,
I mean, it's fine with me if he is, I just.
no, it's just,
Not sure where.
no, exactly. All right.
Administrator?
All right. So, first thing I'm talking about, streetlights. It's about tonight, streetlights are all done down Cranberry Street all the way out to Taylor's. And we're gonna decide what to do. There's two lights side by side on the bridge there on K side, and then you have the corresponding light on the other side, you know, kind of light up the street, but also light up the Riverwalk. We'll decide what to do. At the moment, it looks like we have 5 light poles and light fixtures that don't have a home. So that's 5 we can talk about when we get done. They've got most of the bases set going up Linville and out of town, and they'll start setting the poles, weather permitting. Probably not tomorrow, but maybe they'll get to them by Friday, start setting the poles and lights on top of those. So 2 weeks, we'll have the majority of the lights in.
When are you gonna start putting the hardware on?
And, well, we're getting all the lights in, we're getting all the timers in, we're getting all the photo cells in, then we're gonna go back and start doing the accessories. So, that'll be the last thing we do. The priority was getting the lights in. That brings up a strange question. I've had dozens of phone calls, and I sent you guys an email, I just wanna make sure I understand. Of people wanting to buy the lights or get the lights for free. And what do you wanna do with the old lights?
$50 a light. Before we do that, let's count how many we need for the Riverwalk over on Shoemaker. And let's go ahead and ask Bill to get an RFP from somebody, how much is that gonna cost, and put that in there.
Okay, because all of those poles, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3, are gonna require extensive work.
Right, well, and that's, they're buying a used light.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no offense to the people wanting them, I don't care about them, I care about the town. If we're using these lights to continue around the
So that's what
Riverwalk.
I'm saying, before we let him sell any, let's
Yeah.
pick out, let's call out the best ones and count how many we need, let's do some math and set those to the side and
Right.
sell them.
Yeah, I have not done that yet, because I really needed to ask you guys, what you wanted to do.
Gary, do you have a graph of which ones are still in decent shape? Did you mark them at all?
All you gotta do is look at the bottom. I mean, you're talking, we need 30 to 35, and you'll be lucky to have 5 that don't have to have work.
Don't need that many.
Let's just say that to remove them, you did this. You just push them away.
Yeah,
So,
the bottoms were gone.
Yeah.
It's a wonder
Now,
half of them were still standing.
We have an intact bottom that was hanging up back here, Gary found it, so we could use it as pattern, and we can go down to Avery Welding and see if they can build them for us and how much it'll cost us. We'll have to sandblast them all and then repaint them, and then we'll strip all the wiring out and go LED. And then we've got enough loads, so that's not gonna be the issue, it's just,
Do you need a motion to put the sellers for $50 after?
yeah, I'd like that, yeah.
Can I get a motion to sell the whole one for $50 after we called out and found the best ones for future over in Shoemaker?
I make a motion to take what you need and then sell the rest of it.
Okay.
Please. I have a motion, do I have a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Jamie?
I don't think we should vote on this till we know how many we got. He might not have any to say.
That's part of the motion.
Well, we've got 64, and we're actually gonna stretch them a little bit, because when you start getting out Shoemaker, there are dark areas where those big
Yeah.
floodlights don't hit, and there are light areas, so we can get a little bit more distance in between them. Right now, we're looking at 30, maybe 35, but that's pretty close together, and I'm gonna try to push them a little further apart.
The motion literally said,
Yeah.
Well, I just don't wanna short us, okay, I'm good.
No, we won't short us. The first thing I'll do is determine how much we need and how much it's gonna cost to fix.
I'm good.
Yeah, we need 30 to 30, I think it was exactly 33, but that was 50 feet apart. like he said, down there where we have more light, we could probably extend out to 75 feet. But somewhere between 30 and 35 should be enough.
Let's go ahead, Gary and Bill, let's go ahead and get a price for that, so we can, as long as those things stay laying around, the more damage you're gonna take.
Yep, and I will start taking care of that tomorrow morning. The other thing I want to talk to you guys about, so this is real short and sweet. We're going through the planning process. Next week, by the way, next Thursday at 6 o'clock right here is the next planning board meeting. The planning board has agreed to accelerate the process. So we're actually going to come to you probably in August with a comp plan adoption and a zoning ordinance adoption. We're moving along that path. So the consultant worked hard, he got everything doubled up and emailed it to me today. And so that's gonna be something that you're gonna see really quickly. It'll be this summer. One of the things the board brought up, and has been brought up here by citizens, is what's going on over there at the old Lowe's. The planning process has really taken that area and decided it's a mixed-use area. So there's some residential, but there's also commercial there. And that's the best use, given what goes on around it and what it's being used for today. It's being used, you know, there's residences around it, there's the events area, there's the church and all that. If you recall, I sent you an email about the water out there, the water and sewer out there, they're inadequate. So a 2-inch line does not meet fire code standards for what they're proposing. And so we're not allowing them to connect in. And that's what we've told them. You can't connect in until you extend the 6-inch water line out there, so you have fire hydrants and all that. All of that will be dedicated to us at some point. The consultant has drafted an ordinance, no charge, for us. So this is a development ordinance only pertaining to water and sewer, but it's up to date with current state law. As near as I can tell, our ordinance is from like late 80s, with some minor updates like in fees and stuff. So what I want to know is, do you want to go ahead and adopt a new water sewer ordinance? And I'll bring it to you in a public hearing next month. But this addresses everything. It addresses no development if the service out there is inadequate. It addresses the fee schedule as a separate document, so it's not in the ordinance, so we can change it at any time we deem it necessary. It requires them to connect if they're nearby our system. In other words, this really follows everything that protects the town. What happens if you get into our system, what happens if you tamper with a meter, all that is in here. So, do you want to adopt and update your current water sewer ordinance? Because and we're not talking fees, we're gonna talk about fees next month. But this is the ordinance for how we operate our water and sewer system.
You keep saying that, is there any reason?
I just wanna make sure, because I'm getting kind of like,
Because we're wondering why we can't just read it and then.
Can you email it out?
Oh, yeah, I can, yeah. I'm gonna
This is
email it out.
something new.
And there's no need to email it out and trash up your email if you aren't interested, so.
I'm
We
gonna read
have to read it before we
Yeah.
can.
Good luck. What I'm gonna give you
Okay,
is,
thanks.
I'm gonna give you this, well, you see it's very long. But this it's not annotated, but it's got highlights in it that are what you need to focus on. Hold on. So it's got highlighted sections. These are the important sections that you really need to focus on. The rest of it's kind of boilerplate. Read it all, but if it's all right, I'm gonna bring it back to you for adoption unless you tell me differently. Okay. So I'll get this to you in the morning. Yes, oh yeah. That's my contract, I just send you everything I said that.
Okay, all right, good.
All right, that's it, unless you have questions. It was real short and sweet, and tied up in budget, so, budget and all that. All right, thank you.
This is time for citizen comments, anybody from Century, Citizen? Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I forgot to come last month, and, thank y'all for being here, but I'm Anita Johnson and I'm the chairperson of the Avery County Historical Society and the leader of the Avery County America 250 Committee. And so, thank you for letting me share just a little bit about that for a few minutes. The North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources is the leader of the statewide effort to commemorate America's 250th anniversary, which is coming up in 2 years. Each county was to form an official America 250 committee, and the Avery County Committee was formed in March of this year. After the committee was formed, we brainstormed ideas for projects that align with one of the 3 America 250 committee themes, and the one we chose is the visions of freedom. During the American Revolution era, leaders took bold steps to stand up to British rule. In Avery County, we know that those leaders were, in our area, were the Over the Mountain men who began their journey at Sycamore Shoals to help, advance that goal. They came down Roaring Creek in Avery County and then on to what is now Mitchell County before continuing to Kings Mountain, where they fought the British, led by Patrick Ferguson, and they whipped him. So the Over the Mountain Trail Association was formed about 50 years ago, and those guys are very proud of that. Senator James Voorhill got that passed through Congress as part of the National Trail System. And so now Newland is the county seat of Avery, and I know last month that Christie went ahead and told you that what we were hoping to do, that is if we get grant funding, and we hope to hear from that by next week about a mural that would be depicting the passage of the Over the Mountain men through Avery County on the town wall out here. And most of y'all, all of y'all were in favor of that, and thank you for that. That would be a lasting reminder for the mountain residents, and anyone that travels through Avery County would see a part of our history. And so I just wanted to come and share a little bit of background about that. And so when that happens, I know the town and the county will probably, be coordinating our efforts to celebrate America 250, which is also called the semi-quincentennial, so you can practice saying that if you want to. But does anyone have any questions?
Do you have any idea what the mural's gonna look like by chance?
No, I have no idea yet. The committee will have to meet, and then I will come back to y'all and share what the committee has, decided, because we've got member, we have Michael Hardy, who is a historian that's written a lot of books. We have the DAR, the SAR, different people that are involved on the committee, and we'll come up with a plan for that. But first, hopefully we'll get funded. We've got some other projects, but that's the one that concerns the town, and we appreciate that. And anytime, if you have any questions, call the museum, leave me a message.
Is this the museum over behind the courthouse?
The museum behind the courthouse, yes, sir. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
Looking forward to it.
I know, we're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Any more citizens? Go ahead.
We have one thing, small thing, the handout I gave you had, that's the rough draft versus developed, that's stuff that we took care of, so that's just a small thing. The other thing I have, I was asked on behalf of the county fair board, more about the people. The county fair is wanting to have food trucks, throughout the week, for the fair this year. Several members asked, including Jerry Moody, several others, wanted me to ask if the town of Newland is consider, the way the dates fall, that Thursday the fair falls on the same regular night as food truck Thursday for Newland. Wanted to see if the town would consider working together to have food trucks at the fair that evening. Of course, including all the same food trucks that's normally there, but just wanted to toss it to you and see what board, whoever, we're not sure who exactly does it, but
Tammy
Tammy does it.
Ramsey,
So we were
yeah,
supposed to
it's
board-
kind of a lead type thing, it's not really a town thing.
Gotcha. I didn't think it necessarily a board thing, but I was still asked to bring it up, and see, make sure it was something that was at least possible. At least in the board to make that possible.
Yes, just talk to her.
I did, thank you.
Sarah, I don't think it's a good idea. Why do I have to go up to the fair to get a hot dog from the food trucks?
You don't ever tell her.
I'm just saying.
For that reason, exactly.
You need to go.
You need to come to the
I wouldn't use it, it's free, you don't pay
You
anything.
went to the fair the night before.
Go for everything. Hey, you're the mayor, supposed to support all that.
You can't support all this stuff y'all got this year. There's a dead raccoon in my backyard, okay? Yeah.
How about bears? I have a bear. You want
Well, yeah, we'll do it.
Right there, right there's the name you need.
Any more citizen comments?
Yes.
Yes.
I was just wondering if I could get an update on the transfer of the well from Struckall to the town of Newland.
Still in the process, right?
Yes.
I've got a draft.
Yeah. We have stuff we have to do according to, federal government, state government, so we're drafting up an agreement. It's gotta have if you'll notice on GIS, there's a circle, because there's already a well out there. We have to have that circle, which is an area that protects the wellhead from development. So we have to get all that stuff developed, so we working on it.
Any timeline as far as the
It's government, sir. It will take forever. But you seem like a very serious man, so tell me what you need and we'll work on it for you. What is it is there a date you need?
No, just an update, trying to,
Yeah, it's a slow process because it's government. That's embarrassing to say, but that's a fact. But I know that they are working on it. Have we done the hookup for them yet? Where are we at on that?
Well, as far as I know, they're not doing anything on it, so no, we haven't done hookups. Part of what Gerald's working on, I sent him some information, and we'll create the safe area, in the deed. And then we can't, by law, we can't just, we used to be able to just say, we're not gonna charge you water. We actually have to take the well, value the well, and then take that value, and every time they get a bill, we'll give them credit up to that value, whatever it is, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever that is. So that, we have to go through those motions, and that's what takes so long.
Bill, do you know if it will be needed to have a survey done?
Yeah, we'll have to have a survey to create that.
Yeah, to create that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Thank you. Any more citizen comments? I want to practice that. Semi-what? Semi-quincentennial?
Semi-quincentennial.
That more just. Council comments? Jamie? Yeah. After 500, why can't we just?
It happens, centennial is 500, so it's.
Come up with something forward.
It's just easy to say America 250.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
You don't have.
Okay. Jamie, you have any comments?
I'm happy to see town moving forward and progressing slowly. I want to thank you for the fishing company. Like I said, I want to thank everybody for being here. That's all I have tonight.
Keenan?
I'd love to see this room packed so much that we have to add extra chairs. Thank you all.
That's good. Just for you guys. So we have a closed session tonight?
At this time, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, I make a motion, we go to closed session, reference personnel. Discussion is tag office and public works application.
Nancy, you two need to start smiling.
For serious.
I will, yes. Thank you. All right. One would think that's where maybe Christmas trees will be a little more. Thank you. I would agree.
That's what I'm saying, like,
Incredibly difficult. So,
yeah, I'm amazed.
and it's inaccurate.
I'll talk about it. They specifically- Yeah, I mean, they were.
Let's see what happens tomorrow, because if that, like, if that's possible, then I can really have a stand on it to say, okay, we have this, so then we'll just work it out. Yeah, that'll be the no pressure. Thank you. I will.
I'll see you all.
I didn't. They gave you.
Well, thank you, sir. Yes, you're on to make.
So.